Peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. Once again, peace and blessings and happy Sabbath. I pray that all is well. It's Brother Sadak coming with a Sabbath class, Sabbath convocation, whichever you choose to call it. The topic of this Sabbath class is stop waiting for them. Doesn't matter who it is, stop waiting for them. You have only your own soul salvation to be concerned about ultimately, because you will be going before the Most High, and your Christ will either mediate in your favor or not. It's just that simple. Too many of us assume that we got to wait for other people, and we got to be concerned about what other people are going to do and how they are going to treat us after we have made our decision. The road is what it is, and the rules make the road narrow. Not everybody's going to follow the rules. That'll be their problem. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's be mindful of the sister that anointed the Christ head with oil. The Messiah said, wherever this gospel come out, a remembrance or memorial of that sister anointing his head and preparing him for his burial must also come out. You can read that in the book of Matthew starting at Matthew 26, starting at verse 6, I want to say. Let's see. Matthew 26 and 6. Yeah. So, stop waiting for them. Stop looking for them. Stop hoping for them. Stop pausing for them. Stop wanting for them to do something that's not in their spirit. I was having I heard people having a discussion, and they were talking about the upcoming parades, and they were saying, "Oh yes, it's the main three. I want to make sure I make it to the main three." And they were saying what the main three were, and one of them said Bacchus, and I said, "Do you do know who or what Bacchus is, huh?" And one of the brothers said, "God, the god of wine." I said, "Actually, the god of drunkenness and reveling," which it's. And they weren't interested. He knew they weren't interested. And so I went on about my business. Shabbat Shalom. I went on about my business because ultimately there's no need in telling somebody about something that they already know about, but they don't care about. But will then turn around and say that they believe in the Bible and God and everything that goes along with that. That those two, you can't mix light and dark. They're not going to be mixed together. So we will just move forward in what we know, see, and understand according to the words. So all praises to the Most High for that. Again, stop waiting for them. If your sister's not going to change, she's not going to change. If your mama is your daddy, your grown children, whomever, your children still living in your home, that's something different. But your grown children, if they're not going to change, they're not going to change. This thing isn't about, and nor is it for everybody. I'm going to start reading at the book of Exodus chapter 23 and verse 1. Thou shalt not raise a false report, put not thine hand with the wicked, to be an unrighteous witness. As far as the false report goes, this goes into when there was a situation where people were at odds about different things or whatever the case may be, when it came down to theft or whatever the case may be. But looking at this from a different perspective, looking at this through spiritual eyes, if it says you can't put your hand with the wicked to give a false report, if somebody is saying, well, we just going out there to have a little fun. We don't care anything about what the mother folks out there for. We just going to have a little fun. And somebody agrees with it, they just put their hand, if it's something that's biblically not sound, if it's something that goes against what God says is right, then if they agree with it, they have put their hand together with the wicked and raised a false report. They lied. They brought a lie, because some will say, well, it's really not that deep, that important. Well, when we think about it, if it wasn't that deep or important, if you read the Bible and you read the Bible, you find out when King Saul had an evil spirit on him, the only thing that soothed that evil spirit was music. Imagine that. And then we would have people to say that there's no power in music. I mean, music hasn't influenced me to do anything, but the problem with that is so many people assume that the exception is the rule. Okay, so you don't have one woman you have one woman that's complaining about, I just had a baby and I'm just so overwhelmed, blah, 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 blah. But you have 100 that have had a child and are going on about their life and everything that goes on with it and not claiming to be overwhelmed because, hey, this is a part of motherhood. But then this one would want to claim the rule instead of being the exception for. Same thing here. There are people that will turn around and say, well, hey, I'm not going out there for that. And then when you go and you ask somebody that actually knows, because if you talk to, I give a perfect example. You talk to Edomites, a lot of them will tell you, oh, yeah, well, you know, I already know that, I know that Thanksgiving is pagan, but, you know, I don't care. You know, it's just about, you know, the time of the year and all. But they'll tell you they already understand that it's pagan. I'm going to say it again. They will tell you that they already understand that it's pagan. But when you come to our people, oh, it's for family and it's for this. No, you ain't going to tell me God going to be mad. Wait a minute. The other person already done said that they already understand that it's wrong. I just don't care. But coming to us, we don't know and we don't understand. Even after we've brought the other people to tell them and show them, still ain't gonna listen. So, with that being said, stop waiting for them. Stop trying to force people to see what's not for them to see. That's not up for you, and that's not up for me. So I'm going to the book of Matthew chapter 4 and verse 1. Matthew 4 and verse 1. It says, then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward and hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. So many of us assume that we are alive by our own doing. Oh, I just been so good that God ain't bothering me. Well, then your definition of good isn't the same as what the Bible say, because if it's different, then your good is no good. My good is no good. The only way that good is going to be determined is if it's according to the way that the Bible say. So if I say that I'm a good person, even though I treat some bad and some good, I'll still say I'm a good person. But if I'm treating everyone the way that I want to be treated, then, and it's according to the way the Bible has said, then I have the leg to stand on to say, well, look, I'm just doing what the Bible say. That's all. But if I'm doing it according to my own way, according to the way that I curb things to fit me, then those ways are according to my standards. So here, the tempter came. The Christ was hungry. I mean, he was a man just like me. He was a person just like we all are. He was hungry after eating fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And what happens? After you've done the things that are necessary to seemingly look and put the perception forth that you're doing the right things, especially when you start to read out of his book and do them, here comes something or somebody that's supposed to derail all that good work. And the thing is, through using discernment, we're supposed to be able to know, see, and understand that. Wait a minute. I said I wasn't going to cuss no more. And I've been doing good for the last 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, here comes so-and-so out of nowhere. And the Lord know that I don't fool with such and such. Out of nowhere, here they come. And the thing about it is they come trying to start some mess. Oh, I see what, okay, I see what, Lord, hey, thank you for giving me the spirit of discernment. I see what this is. And you may have to be thinking that thing in your head the whole time. So while the tempter is talking to the Christ, he trying to break the Bible down to him, trying to tell him what the Bible say. This is one of the reasons why we can't listen to everybody when they claiming they trying to tell us what the word from God is saying. Are they telling it to you with a slighted purpose, or are they merely just saying, well, this is what the Bible say? Are they coming to you in the spirit of trying to deceive you into doing something? Because if anybody tell me that that God gonna save, God is gonna look after you in every situation. Yeah, he also said don't tempt him. So you're gonna tempt me by walking out in front of oncoming traffic. What do you think is supposed to happen? So here, the tempter said in verse 3 again, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of God. So the Christ already knew, saw, and understand what was happening. Will you know, see, and understand what's coming when the time comes? Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy to find out where this actually came from, what he said, because it said, is written. So it's Deuteronomy 8:1. What are you going to do when the time comes? What are you going to do when everybody else say, well, you go ahead and you do all that stuff? I mean, I don't see where it's necessary. You go ahead and you think that God is requiring you to change, and you go ahead and you live like that. I'm not doing all that. You go ahead and you stop eating this, that, and the third, because I don't see anything wrong with it. What are you to do then? Are you to do what everybody else is doing, or are you to make the decision to walk out on your faith and to continue pressing forward? So Deuteronomy, matter of fact, I'm going to read chapter 7, verse 26 before I read starting at chapter 8, because I had mentioned in a previous class that I told a brother that the Bible say we're not supposed to bring anything abominable in our home. And so it says in Deuteronomy 7:26, neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house. And we were talking about a cross. A cross is an abomination to God. Pig, shellfish, things of that nature. Rabbit are abominations to God. And so with all of these abominations that are being brought into people's homes, what can they make the assumption is happening other than Jesus died? Jesus died is not going to be the win-all for every situation. When it comes down to you not getting your head cracked because you sinned and now you have grace and mercy to change, that's one thing. But when it comes down to us doing things and we can see scripturally that it's wrong and we're going to justify the Bible with doing them, that's something totally different by saying that Christ gave of his life so you can do it. And so it says, don't bring any abomination into your house, lest thou be a cursed thing like it. But thou shalt utterly detest it, and thou shalt utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing. It is a cursed thing. Give me one sec. It is a cursed thing. Well, in that case, can you bring a cross into your home? A cross can't help you. No. And people can say whatever they want to about it. It's not going to change anything. Their emotions and their feelings is not going to change the way the Lord feels about it. Now, Deuteronomy chapter 8 and verse 1 says, all the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do. Everything you've been instructed to do, you need to do, that ye may live. We just read that man shall live by every word that proceed out of the mouth of God. Proverbs 7:2 says, keep my commandments and live, and the law as the apple of my eye. Reading on, it says, and multiply and go in and possess the land which the Lord swear unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all, and this is Deuteronomy 8:2. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness. Some of us have been living 30 plus years, 40 plus years, even 50 plus years, some 60 plus years, and didn't know or understand the importance of us living as the children of Israel, keeping the commandments in the faith of Christ. A lot of us didn't understand that. We didn't know that it was a very severe thing for us to do exactly what the Bible says, because we are bound lawfully, according to the Bible, to do so. And for the lack of a better phrase or whatever, that was your wilderness that you walked through. Once you found out and realized that you have an obligation to do what the scriptures say, there's no turning back. Reading on. It says, I'm going to start from the beginning. And it says, and thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, and to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know what that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord doth man live. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so the Lord thy God chasteneth thee. That's the kicker right there. The same way that if you have a father or a mother, a parent that loves you, they're going to correct you and they're going to discipline you. And the discipline, although it might not feel good, it's going to be necessary to help you understand and see what can and what cannot happen. It's going to teach you, as opposing to you having to stick your hand with a knife in it or some scissors in it in the light socket, that you're not supposed to do that. The discipline is going to show you and let you know that that's off limits. Just the same as some of us have lived and worked on jobs and went to those jobs and did as we pleased and said what we wanted to and got fired and ran off from those jobs. The discipline that came behind it and the humility that should have come behind it, because now here you are looking for a job, now trying to find a way to take care of yourself, now trying to understand how did all this happen. It started because I didn't know when to shut up. And so the next time I'll know when to shut up. Matter of fact, I won't even start it. And so what's happening here is understanding why. And in the understanding why, that's where the Bible comes in. We pull this book out, start to read it, start to grow in it, start to build, learn, and excel in it above any and everything else. I just read that out of all those years that our people was walking around in that wilderness, they clothes never got old on them. Because you think about it. You go buy a new blouse, go buy a new shirt, whatever, even some new shoes. Matter of fact, I'll take it here. I had some tennis shoes, and I didn't wear them all the time. I had a bunch of different pairs of tennis shoes. I had them so long and I wore them so rarely that when I noticed when I got in my car one time, it was some stuff down in the floor mat. And every time I got in my car with those shoes on, I noticed it. And what was happening was the shoes were starting to come apart. They was original shoes. They cost like they supposed to $200 some, I want to say, but they wore out because they wasn't being worn. But these people walked 40 years out there in that wilderness. Clothes never got old on them. Feet never swole up from all that walking. And went through all of that because the Lord had to show them so that they could submit. You've lived all your life. We have children now that are being raised in the commandments from birth. All praise to the Most High. And I'm thankful for that the children are being given an opportunity not to corrupt themselves unless that's what's on them, unless that's what they want to do. But anyway, as for the rest of us that have went out and lived in the world and done the things that we ought not have been doing and had to be chastised and have been corrected, and now we understand why the different things that happened to us did. Stop waiting for somebody else to make a move in the right direction, whether they will or not. That can't be up to you. That's not up to you. It's not up to me. We just read what happened to our people and why. And now I'm going to the book of Zechariah, chapter 7 and verse 8. I can already tell you, don't look for no tambourines and drums and the choir and all of that. All we're gonna do is do some Bible stuff. That's it. Cause I can't sing. I can't sing. I'm gonna be straight up. I can't sing. I don't sing. So here we go. Zechariah chapter 7 and verse 8. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto Zechariah, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, saying, execute true judgment. Do the right stuff. Don't have respect of persons. If you're wrong, acknowledge that you're wrong, repent and make supplication. And show mercy and compassion every man to his brother, and oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor. And let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your hearts. And don't sit around trying to find a way to be low down and dirty to your brothers and sisters." Reading on. Verse 11. "But they refused to hearken." They refused to listen. The Lord laid it out and told our people what not to do, how not to do it, and what to do. But they refused to listen and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yea, they made their hearts as an adamant stone. They made their hearts as an adamant stone. Didn't have a heart. Didn't care anything about anybody or anything. Reading on. "Lest they should hear the law and the words which the Lord of hosts hath sent in his spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from the Lord of hosts." So because the people would listen, it just said, they pulled away the shoulder. I don't want to hear that. Get away from me. And this basically hated the word. The Lord gave the instructions. The people didn't listen. The people wouldn't follow. And so God got mad about it. I'm going to read that part again. "Therefore came a great wrath from the Lord of hosts." Verse 13, it says, "Therefore it is come to pass that as he cried and said, and they would not hear, so they cried, and I would not hear, saith the Lord of hosts." How did he cry? Through those men that he went to, and having to put a spirit on those men to tell our people that they had to change. To tell our people that they had to stop doing X, Y, and Z. To tell our people that they had to start doing something. So even the same way that when this happened, our people didn't change. They wouldn't listen. The Lord brought wrath on our people. Our people started to cry to him. He didn't listen. It's the same way as a child when they're being disciplined. "Oh, stop! Please stop! Please!" And they don't stop. And the person, the disciplinarian, continues to administer the discipline. Let me say it like that. You were given chance. You were given chance. You were given chance. There may have been a couple of people that took heed and said, "No, I gotta quit doing this." But as a nation, and that's the problem, as a nation, we didn't stop. Did not Tobit go into captivity? Yes. Tobit was a righteous man. Tobit was an upright man. Still had to go into captivity. Did Daniel not go into captivity? Yes. Was he a righteous man? Absolutely. Was Christ not born in captivity? Absolutely, yes. So this thing supersedes me thinking with my own carnal mind that it's just about me. It's actually all about the nation. And so I'll go now to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11. 1 Corinthians 11 and 31. Again, happy Sabbath. Pray that all is well. Happy Sabbath. 1 Corinthians 11, 31 and 32. It says, "For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, and that we should not be condemned with the world." Are you planning on being condemned with the rest of the world? And the most convenient answer for everybody to give is no. Some people will say that, I'm going to eventually change. Some do, some don't. And that's to their demise. The thing about it is those that actually do, the longer they take, the more they have to go through and receive different judgments and condemnations and disciplines that have to be administered by the Lord. Because what is supposed to happen if one is sinning? One is supposed to be corrected. And if the Lord corrects you, it is what it is. I mean, you think about it. In our journey toward being righteous, striving for righteousness, we should all be asking ourselves, am I living my best life according to all of this? Am I acknowledging the red flags that I have out there? Have I trimmed my ways? Have I trimmed God's ways to seek love? Or am I actually moving in the ways of understanding? Am I doing all the things that God has commanded me to do? Do I have respect of persons because it's something for my child or my grandchild or my mama or somebody like that? Or have I not wavered? What am I doing in our stretch of righteousness, in our trying to obtain righteousness? Are we truly doing the things that's necessary to be considered righteous? Good question. What's the answer though? Are you truly doing the things? Let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. If you're not, then truly what are you striving for? Are you just going about your way in your business just like everybody else, or actually looking to be the best version of yourself, meaning best person in the eyes of God? It's not up to me. Let me read that again. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. If you're thinking about the stuff you're doing, and you're truly considering the things you're doing, would there be a need for the Lord to chasten you if you already are denying the things that He say we're not supposed to have? Would there be a need to chasten me if I'm doing what He say don't do? No. See, it's just like when it come down to thou shalt not kill or thou shalt not steal. That don't apply to me. So why would I be condemned, or why would I be why would righteous indignation come down on me if I'm not doing those things? That's nothing for me to worry about. So if you are judging yourself, let me read it again. For if we judge ourselves, we should not be judged. If you judging yourself and the stuff that you're doing by the Bible standard, then you're doing the things that's in here to be done. You ain't got nothing to worry about with this stuff. Verse 32. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. Again, did I trim my way? Did I trim God's way? When the Bible came to the forefront and I saw what it said. I heard what it said. Did I listen? Did I consider it? Or did I do what I wanted to do? Did I make an excuse? Did I lie? Did I pretend like I didn't know? Wait a minute. I said it just a few minutes ago. You got a man that was talking about the parades and said, well, you know, the main one I want to catch, one of them is Bacchus. And I asked him, you know what Bacchus is? And he was like, for sure, the god of wine. So wait, you do know that the Bible speaks it. Wait, let's see what Exodus 20 say about that. But you say you understand the God of the Bible and you respect him, right? But see, I didn't go all into all of this with him because we was at work, so I left it alone. That's why I tell people, I used to go to the parades like everybody else. But when it comes down to it, are you supposed to be there? So he said, yeah, the god of wine. And I said, the god of drunkenness and reveling is what you actually read. And so it says here in Exodus 20 and verse 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. That's all I'm going to read out of that. So if the God over that thing is the God of drunkenness and partying and all of that, and you're going there to celebrate in that, then what have you said about the God of the Bible? Where did you put him? Is he now behind this situation? I didn't ask that man all of that because what I would have received in that setting would have been lies and excuses. And it's fine with me. So we just read out of 1 Corinthians 11:31-32. When you judging yourself and you judging yourself according to what the Bible say, and if you're doing what's right, then you judge righteously. But if we don't judge according to righteous judgment, that's when the condemnation is going to come. Too many of us are caught up in wanting to do as we please, but not wanting to accept the consequences behind it. Me and somebody was talking about, because they said that one of their relatives is a RN, and say that the sodomites will come in there and people don't even know that these are men coming into doctor's office. They don't even have grip so they can hold themselves up. They have to, these men got to wear diapers because they can't hold their bowels. But that's not the conversation that the world puts out there about that situation. But when something happens and then you go and research, you'll truly have to dig to find that. But anything else, oh, they're going to tell you, oh, there's been so many strides in medicine and all this and all that. And, now people are living with HIV, AIDS and all of this and all of that. And they're able to live full lives and all of this and all of that. But they're not telling you that the men have been loose, been knocked raggedy back there and they can't hold their bowels up. They're not telling that part. That's one of the consequences from the actions. But everybody don't want to hear it. Let's go to Psalms 40 and 10. Psalm 40, 10. It's not made for that. But the people don't care. The people choose to do as they please. And because of that, the Lord have to bring judgment. Psalms 40 and 10 says, I have preached righteousness in the great, that's 9. Let me read 9 first. I have preached righteousness in the great congregation. Lo, I have not refrained my lips. O Lord, thou knowest. God is watching everything we doing. I don't know how many people caught the Wednesday class. People are doing their best now to try to put the cursing pastor in heaven. This man the book of Ecclesiastes says, he that is accustomed to opprobrious words cannot be refrained, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Opprobrious mean harsh words, or whatever the case may it be. That man considered himself to be the cussing pastor. That man was happy to tell people he was out there laying around and doing things that he ought not to have been. Well, look, and then justified it with, well, look, you can get the lying dudes to come in here and tell you all kind of lies and this, that, and whatever the case may be. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Well, I had somebody at work that me and a couple of other people was talking. And he was like, well, I mean, you know, at least he was being real about it. You know, the problem is all of them out there lying. I said, that's the problem. Those that are out there and lying and fake about it, they going to pay just as well as he going to pay. Those that are deceiving the people are only deceiving the people because they are not reading. The people now have an obligation to read. That's why anytime they'll say, oh, you know, that's the Old Testament, then the response is the New Testament says, study to show thyself approved. So there's no get back. There's no running away from the accountability that's set before you. You have an obligation to study so that you can know when somebody is bringing you something. The book says itself. Your word, your ear, and the stuff that come out of people's mouths is supposed to be just like your palate on your tongue. You're supposed to know the difference between chicken and lamb. You're supposed to know the difference between goat and redfish. Your ear is supposed to know the difference between holy and unholy, righteousness and unrighteousness. Whatever is being said to you has to be filtered through the book. And if it's being filtered through the book, the discernment and the righteous, discernment has to be there. And the only way that's going to happen is if you're applying. If you're not applying, then your studying is going to be in vain because it's not really going to mean anything. It'll be just like the people that'll come out and you'll have somebody saying what the Bible say. Oh, yeah, I know the Bible. Yeah, the Bible say this. But don't it also say this? In trying to bring out a point to make one thing contradict the other. The Lord is not the author of confusion. So he's not going to send anybody to contradict what he has said. He's not bringing no two opinions about his word. It's only one, and that's all it's going to be. And so David has said here in the Spirit of God, I have preached your word in the congregation. I have not refrained my lips. I have not waited for them. Whether they listened or not, it wasn't up to me. I did what I was told to do. That's the only thing I was going to do because I'd rather deal with the consequences that come from me doing the right thing and the people hate my guts as opposed to doing the wrong thing and you hate my guts. So the people going to lose every time. Now, Psalm 40:10. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. Just like some of the people that will wear fringes under their clothes because they shame. Trust me, it happens. Verse 10 again. I have not hid thy righteousness within my heart. I have declared thy faithfulness and thy salvation. I have not concealed thy loving kindness and thy truth from the great congregation. I did what you told me to do. I walked in the way that you told me to walk. I was the example. The people, some of them for the most part, turned their nose up at me because they didn't respect or like what I was doing because it was shining a light on the things that they were doing. Hey, you're going to have one that's going to prove the other. The wicked is going to prove the righteous and vice versa. Verse 11. Withhold not thou thy tender mercies from me, O Lord. Let thy loving kindness and thy truth continually preserve me. For innumerable evils have compassed me about. Everywhere you look, everything is wicked. Everywhere you look, the people are no good. Everywhere you look, it can be even in your own bed. problems. So what can you do? Ask the Lord to hold you up. Ask the Lord to protect you. Ask God to continue to provide for you. That's all we can do. But in asking, you have to be humble. In asking, I have to be believing. And in believing, that means I'm going to be doing what the book tells me to do. I'm doing what it tells me to do because I believe if I do it, he going to do what he say. If I don't do what he say, he going to do what he say in that part too. So verse 12 again, for innumerable evils have compassed me about. Mine injuries have taken hold of me, upon me, so that I'm not able to look up. They are more than the hairs of mine head. Therefore, my heart faileth me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. A lot of us always asking for the help, especially when something happens. Man, I was sitting there looking at interest rates and all of that stuff, and I thought about it. I said, man, you know what? People with great credit right now are paying the interest rates of the people that would 20 years ago have repossessions and stuff like that. And they don't care because it's become normal. And I'm like, man, if I don't have to buy a new vehicle, I'm not going to. If I don't have to buy a vehicle, I'm not going to, or whatever the case may be, because the problems that America has brought upon itself, I'm not going to make them my problems, because I have done the things that America says have to be done so that you don't have to deal with things like this. But the problem is we live in a society that is corrupt. And so you sow corruption, what you going to receive? What you going to yield? Corruption. You can't yield incorruption with corruption. So here we go. We are always asking God to look over me, take care of us, give us. We always going begging. But where's the humility and the changing so that we can actually receive the benefits that he said are out there? You got to have some humility sooner or later. Verse 14, it says, let them be ashamed and confounded together that seek after my soul to destroy it. Let them be driven backwards and put to shame that wish me evil. Let them be desolate for a reward of their shame that say unto me, aha, aha. Let all those that seek thee rejoice and be glad in thee. Let such as love thy salvation say continuously, the Lord be magnified. So which is it going to be? You glorifying God through your actions and he getting the glory from it, because people say, yeah, I know Sadak. I remember. He was the devil. This is you. This is what people saying about you. Yeah, I know him. He was the devil. He wasn't no good. No, he wasn't no good. Yeah, he went to work like everybody else. Paid his bills and all that stuff, but he wasn't no good. He was out there sowing corruption just like everybody else. I don't see that anymore. I don't see that out of it. Matter of fact, he really don't talk like he used to and don't carry on how he did. Remember, this is what people are saying about you. Yeah, I don't really see that anymore. Yeah, I mean, all I hear is, or whatever, something about God in the Bible and, just life in general coming out, none of all that foolishness that used to come out. Or you'll get the others, just like I said before. My wife right there. And anytime Mad Day come up, have the right, if I'm doing what I ain't supposed to be doing, she got the right to bust out, he lied, all that stuff he said. Hey, it is what it is. That's why your life got to be an open book. And I tell brothers that hide, they lie. I'm like, wait a minute. So you talking all this Bible talk and you hiding your life from people. Don't nobody want your kids. Get out of here with that stupid. Ain't nobody trying to, you put your kids on. Man, get out of my face with that fool. Don't nobody want you. You don't even want them. I just want your worship kids. But anyway, people have to see that the thing is doable. People have to see that it is easy to not go anywhere on Saturday and spend money. They have to see that it is easy to keep the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They have to see that it is easy to not eat pig, to substitute all the things that we have been taught was supposed to be so good. I'll give one example. We can eat shellfish. And you'll have some people to say that I was raised up on the Gulf. I was raised up, in that was part of our culture and whatnot. What they'll have to do is find a substitute for the lobster. Cod is an easy substitute for it and is lawful. See, all you got to do is make exceptions and show people the changes that you've made and let them know why. Otherwise, you know what you're going to get? Aha! You talk all that Bible talk, huh? Talk all that keeping the Sabbath talk, huh? What about talk all that non-eating pig talk, huh? But what about this? They wait. They are waiting to try to throw something up in your face supposedly to try to make you look bad so that they can say nobody can do all that stuff. Only because many are not willing to try. Many are not willing to step out on a limb, and many do not have faith. Verse 17, it says, But I am poor and needy, yet the Lord thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my God. So we all need to be asking the Lord to provide for us, keep us in mind, keep us safe, and to protect us. But so many of us, we only want it the way we want it. We want to live how we want and do as we please and still have expectations of God. It don't work like that. But we'll try it anyway. Ecclesiastes 5:7. But we'll try it anyway. Matter of fact, it says in what I just read, but I am poor and needy. In the Beatitudes, that's Matthew 5. In the Beatitudes, it says Matthew 5 in verse 3, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Also, let me find one other one. Let me find one other thing here, if I can remember where it's at. Yes, Isaiah 14:32 says, what shall one then answer? The messengers of the nation, that the Lord hath founded Zion, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. The poor of his people shall trust in it. So I'm poor and needy. I need the Lord. I'm without. I understand nothing here I own. Nothing. None of this stuff is mine. Everything. Those people can come here and take whatever they please, and can take me to a place and hold me without charges as long as they want. Or can fabricate something, and I ain't got enough money or reach that they have, that they can hold me indefinitely, and there's nothing anybody would be able to do about it. They have the power. We're here in an oppressed state, and we need to understand that our power only comes through our obedience. So Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 7. I don't have a lot of different stuff. You're not going to get me talking about, looking at this moon, the moon phase. Hey, and UFOs and all. You know why? Because the moon not going to come down here and walk among you and make you cuss it out. The UFOs are not going to come down here among you and make you hate its guts. They ain't going to do nothing. All they're going to do is what they're supposed to do. You walking around with these people around here every day, and you have things inside of you, and I have things inside of me that haven't been changed. That's what's going to get you judged. So I don't care nothing about the moon and stars and, oh, look at the way the tide rolling in on the water. Look, you better watch the signs, of course, and know and understand what time we in and change, because if you're not willing to, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to be destroyed with everything else. So Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 7, it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord. Don't wait. Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord, and put not off from day to day. And don't wait. For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, when you ain't ready for it, when you ain't thinking about it, when you comfortable. And in thy security, I just said when you comfortable, in thy security, thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. Too many of us are comfortable, and I'll even go this far. A lot of these brothers that's claiming to be repentant Israelites are affected by the people that don't love them. And what I mean by that is a lot of these brothers will say some far-fetched, off-the-wall stuff. I had a brother on social media just a couple of days ago trying to justify something stupid that he said, and said it was a fact, which could not be proven, but still said it was a fact. And in turn, even had the audacity to say wisdom cannot be proven. I said, what? Wisdom cannot be proven. And I said, well, don't the Bible say wisdom shall be known of her children? And also I said, now wait a minute. Was not wisdom proven when Solomon took that baby and was about to cut it in half? Wisdom wasn't shown and proven then? And the brother's response was, well, you just proved my point. You know what? Let me delete everything I said off of here, because none of your social media friends that truly like you have corrected you in the other stupid stuff that you have said, but they have agreed with it. And when it's time for you not to correct them, they don't expect for you to. That's the relationship that so many of these men have, and it's to their detriment, because it's going to get them killed. Just like a kid, you don't never correct it. Kid gonna think anything that he's doing is right. I showed my wife this video. This kid was standing in front of a grown man. That kid was probably 7 or 8 years old. And a grown man walking, he get in this grown man face and all this and all, then go to hit him. A grown man took him and pushed him, and he fell down, then he started screaming. Who's to blame? You can't well, that's a kid. That's a kid. That kid was supposed to know this place. And so many of these people that's wearing these things right here, this stuff right here, they don't know their place. They don't believe that they have a place. They believe any and everything that they say is fine. The Bible says you got to watch what you say. You got to be careful of who you're going to disrespect. But it's easy to see what is on people's mind when they put their lives on social media, and just about everything that you see is something derogatory towards the women, towards the Christianity church. I talk about everything. Everything. I'm not just talking about one specific thing all the time. And so nobody gonna tie it to me. But in the security of being foolish, so many people are going to be destroyed because they won't be told nothing. I remember when you got people that say they believe in keeping the Sabbath and all of that stuff, and keeping the feast days, say that they repented Israelites. We just talking now. I'm going into the in thy security day. You're going to be, let me read that part again. In thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. I remember going to a brother's inbox and telling him, asking, dude, what are you doing? It's the Sabbath. You out shooting basketball? I got 1,050 excuses as to why it was okay. Oh, I'm. It's not like I'm exercising, maybe if I was fat, then Let me get all this away from me, because I see what I'm talking to. You're in your security. You writing everything you do. So you know what? Go on about your business. It is what it is. Let me read this from the top. Again, it says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord. Don't wait to stop being you. Don't wait to stop doing what you want to do. Don't wait to stop acting. Stop waiting for everybody else and you do what you are required to do. Because as long as you're going to sit around and wait, and as long as you're going to sit around and be comfortable, that's as long as you have the bullseye on your back for to be target practice for the Lord. And too many people don't mind being target practice. Too many people don't mind being made the example of. So when does it change? Let's read about it. 2 Corinthians 13:5. 2 Corinthians 13:5. Second Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves? How that Jesus Christ is in you, except you be reprobates? You got to examine yourself. You got to prove your own self. How? You examine yourself by the word. You got to prove your own self according to the word. Excuse me. You got to govern yourself according to the word. If you're not governing yourself according to the word, then how have you proven yourself to be worthy of God's salvation? If I say that I'm good and he don't say I'm good, whose word is valid, mine or his? I can say it all day long, being the devil. Oh, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm fine. Yeah, ain't no big deal. I can say it all day long. But if he ain't saying it and he not in the scriptures not agreeing with it, then it doesn't matter what I say. I'm tarrying to continue to do what I do. I'm complacent. I'm comfortable. Folding my hands, enjoying myself, doing me. I'm just doing me. Yeah, I'm going to get killed doing me because of me being me instead of changing. I'll allow everybody else to do what they want to do. Why they don't want to allow me to do what I want to do? I want to stop cussing. I want to stop running the streets. I want to stop selling drugs. I want to stop doing drugs. I want to stop getting high. I want to stop getting drunk. I want to stop being a person that's a liar. All of that. I want to stop doing all of that. And as soon as I say I want to stop doing all of that, my friends make fun of me. I don't understand it. I mean, when so-and-so decided to stop doing X, Y, and Z, I was there and I supported them because I saw where that was a hindrance in their lives. Now I see what's a hindrance in my life according to the Bible, and now the people make a mockery of me. Now they all want to laugh at me. Oh, I understand it. The book says it's going to happen. The book says that it has to happen. You mean to tell me that people will disrespect me and what I perceive per the Bible because they don't want to stop doing something that the Bible says they ought not to be doing already? So am I wrong according to the Bible, or are they wrong? Oh, I got it. I forgot. That would be my own private interpretation. I forgot about that part. But even though the Bible says a liar ain't going to enter the kingdom, I guess that means I can still lie because so-and-so said that's just my own interpretation. Even though the book said the one smoking the cigarettes ain't gonna make it. Even though the book says the one that's out there running the streets ain't gonna make it. Even though the book says marriage is honorable and they just shacking up. You don't know. God, I got my own relation. Even though the book says if you don't do what it say, you don't have a relationship with him. Even though the book says in red letter, I'm friends with those that do what I tell them to do. I love them that do what I say. That's what the book say, but people turn around and say that the book is lying. So we just read where it says, examine yourself, prove your own self. Don't you know whether the book is in you or not? It's just that easy. I can say yes with my mouth, but my actions can also show no. So whatever fruit come from me, it's going to let you know what I am. We're almost done. Let's now go to the book of Luke, chapter 15 and verse 11. Luke 15 and verse 11. And it says, and he said, a certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portions of goods that fall to me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. He was out of control. He was doing what he wanted to. He was out there with them doing what they were doing. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. See, we ain't got no problem as long as we got a couple dollars in our pocket and we got people around us. Everybody, look, get a car and see how many friends you got. My dad told me it's a long time. You got that car, now you're gonna have a bunch of friends, a bunch of buddies. Wreck the car and see how many buddies you got. Call your buddy that used to ride with you all the time and see what excuses you get. Verse 15. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into his fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat. And no man gave unto him. And here we go. This is the important part. This is how a lot of us are living right now, or have been up until we change. Been out there doing all types of everything that the world can offer and still are not fulfilled. Hungering and thirsting for righteousness, but not righteously. Wondering why we're not fulfilled with this and can't be happy with that. It says here in verse 17, and when he came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to spare, and I perish with hunger. So this man, I want to read to 19. I will rise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. So this man did as so many of us do. We live, we go out, we do, we're in error. We don't have any way out. And in that life, then we come to our senses and see our errors, and we have to go and make amends for the things that we have done and correct ourselves This young man saw where he was wrong. This young man understood that while he was out there with them, partying with them and doing everything that they wanted him to do, he was good. Well, what happened to all them friends he had while he was out there living how he was living? What happened to all them people? It is what it is. Sometimes you fall into a situation where you got to go through something to be fixed. That's what happened to him. And so now what did he have to do? He had to humble himself, come to his senses, go and make amends, repent, ask for forgiveness, and make the right decision. All of us have to do that. So when you're in the situation where you figure that you just going to do what everybody else is doing, hang around and wait, you might not be able to come out of that situation because it might be to your demise. It may be your deathbed. So with that, happy Sabbath. I pray that this message has helped someone. Peace.